everyone, shut up! I'm here with some information to fill your brain, so you better lay back and open up those here canals. Let Daddy Crash whisper sweet nothings to you like treacle dripping onto your eardrum. Whoa, sorry, got a little bit carried away there. Anywho, I've got a tale of bold adventure for all of you. The kind of thrill-seeking, blood-pumping, butt-clenching action that puts a hair on a man's chest. Or a woman's chest. I don't discriminate. It all started, as all great voyages do, with a pleasant afternoon of kite flying. I was showing the local kids why their kites sucked and mine, who I had named Tabitha, ruled. I performed a full routine to demonstrate my skill with my dual-line kite, the cartwheel, the pancake to fade, and of course, the lazy Susan as a finale. I'm not sure if the kids were impressed because when I looked back they were gone, but I'm guessing they were scared by my kite flying prowess. I decided to workshop a new trick I'd been working on since the wind was getting a little stronger. I call it the jumping jack. It's a legendary maneuver among the kite-flying elite, rumored to be impossible. But I had been crawling my way toward greatness by perfecting the necessary movements. My wind-born baby took to the air. I gave a little slack, dropped and pulled Tabitha in a touch. The winds were rough, but my technique was smooth. Then, the breeze at my back picked up. From nowhere, a storm descended on the park. Gale force winds had picked up before I even had the thought to reel in my kite. I tried desperately to retrieve my pride and joy, but my arms pulled, my back strained, and my legs gave way as my kite turned into a parasail, carrying me with it. I clung to my handles for dear life, floating higher and higher, realizing that it was too late now to consider letting go. It was only a matter of time until the wind dropped and I would drift gently down to the ground. Or my kite would dive into a tailspin and I would plummet to a grisly, spattery death. Unfortunately, I didn't consider the third option. The wind got stronger, propelling me up into the clouds. I was freezing. I couldn't see a thing through the dense moisture all around me. It was like that one time I fell into the ice cream freezer at the shops, except this time there was no one pointing and laughing. Well, not that I could see at least, but I was still flying up, breaking through the clouds into lights. As my eyes got used to the brightness, I realized I wasn't just above the clouds. I was in another world entirely, and it was still. The wind was completely gone. Tabitha hung in the air a moment and then slowly settled onto the cloud. Resting on it, my feet touched the clouds and found them surprisingly solid. I looked around. Temples carved from white marble, crystal clear waterfalls, and evergreen oaks. A thought crossed my mind. Oh great, I'm dead. Clearly I fell to my death, or I was struck by lightning or something, and now I'm stuck here in heaven. Just like that, it's all over? 1 minute I'm flying a kite, then the next I'm gone? There was so much I still wanted to do. Things to break, people to annoy, and now I'm... And then I realized something. Breathing a sigh of relief. I can't be dead. If I was dead, I'd be burning in hell for all of my sins. So where was I then? There were statues of birds and planes and Superman? But not just that. Bats, butterflies, blimps, and yes, there with its own special spot. A beautiful model of a kite. It was gorgeous. Majestic. Finally, kites were getting their day in the sun. Speaking of which, the sun was incredibly harsh, what with there being no clouds and such. My delicate alabaster skin would roast if I didn't find some shelter. And quickly, I grabbed my precious Tabitha and ran inside a temple nearby. What was inside knocked my socks off. A man 10 feet tall loomed in front of me. He was old, wrinkled like a raisin with a long gray beard that spooled at his feet. He opened his mouth, his dry lips parting, a shallow breath escaping.
Crash Rosewater III, welcome to the inner sanctum of the Winged Ones. You have been chosen by the Council for your immense devotion to flight, your skill in controlling the kite, and your love for the elegant poetry of aerial acrobatics are unrivaled. And so we offer you a place here as a legend. You will join the likes of the Wright brothers, Otto Lilienthal, and Henry Gifford. You will stand as a testament to the human ability to defy gravity.
Now, actually, I can get down with this, Steez, because I fucking love flight. I mean, I flew a plane. I think rocket ships are fucking amazing, and are basically the epitome of humanity's strive to be better and fucking make advancements. I love rockets and shit. Flying is just sick. I was silent, shocked for a long time. I felt a little bit of snot collecting at the edge of my nose, like, you know, when you get a runny nose and it's just like practically water, but it tickles your nostrils and you want to wipe it away, but you don't want people to think you're picking your nose. It was like that. I guess being so cold in the clouds probably made my nose start running. Then suddenly, being in the hot air above.
Crash, did you hear me?
I had forgotten to respond to TenFoot Gandalf. I wiped my nose. Okay, so let me get this straight. As a celebration of all things that fly, you take the pioneers and experts on flight and you trap them up here for all eternity.
Well, I wouldn't use the word trap, but yes, that's the basic gist. I prefer the word enshrine.
But flight is about freedom. These people work their whole lives to be free, and you're clipping their wings. After I said that, the old man stroked his beard and thought. It took a bloody long time for him to stroke his beard, too, because it was about 20 feet long, and it had crumbs and stuff in it, which was really gross. Like, come on, I'm all for you do you, but how about you do you as long as it doesn't make other people puke? The old man's brow furrowed, and he spoke once again.
Crash, I don't come into your workplace and tell you how to do your job, so just tell me, do you want to be enshrined or not?
Nah, I'm good. Thanks for the offer, though. What was your name again?
I am Eros, creator of the winds, master of the skies, lord of flight. My reign began just after the dawn of the world as I was birthed from...
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Eros. Anyways, I'm off. I collected up Tabitha's lines and made my way back to the exit.
Hold!
Eros boomed loudly from behind me, the sound bouncing off the temple's stone walls. I almost let my bladder go, but I held on just like Mommy taught me before Dad drove her away with his alcohol abuse. But anyway!
Now that you have seen this sacred place, I cannot allow you to leave with your memories of it intact. Stand before me and I shall wipe clear all that has transpired here today from your mind.
No way! I'm gonna dine on this story for the rest of my life! Adios, Eros. I made a break for the door, sprinting as fast as I could. Unfortunately, cardio isn't exactly my strong suit, so about 1 minute later I had a stitch and my throat hurt from breathing so hard. I glanced backwards to see my pursuer. Good lord! Eros now looked much more like a god of wind. His eyes burned with blue flame and he flew towards me, his beard trailing out behind him.
Crash!
The wind picked up around me and I struggled to hold Tabitha close to me. I whispered to her, "It's gonna be all right, babe," and pushed through my stitch, sprinting for it again. An almighty screech came from above and a shadow swept past. I looked up. A pterodactyl was high above, scaly, gross wings outstretched as it banked, turning back towards me and diving. This prehistoric pest was going to clothesline me. As its wings got closer, my kite-flying instincts kicked in. I launched my kite, kept the line short, and used the strong winds to propel myself over the pterodactyl's attack. The pterodactyl nearly crashed into Eros, but with a gesture of his hand, it disappeared. Holy shit, I am literally fighting a god! This flight fanatic was somehow summoning flying fiends to finish me! His ability was almost as impressive as my alliteration! Next came a flock of starlings, known as murmurations. That's right, folks, you just learned something from watching a video with me in it instead of that know-it-all culture. Their swarm undulated, shimmering towards me. It was beautiful. Then the swarm was upon me. Tiny little beaks dive-bombing me from every direction like a million flicks of a rubber band. I hunched over and kept running, shielding Tabitha, letting the starlings bounce off my back. It'd take more than tiny birds to penetrate the dense layer of muscle on my back. A giant hole in the clouds appeared in front of me. My way out of this whacked-out skyland. If I could just make it through there, Eros wouldn't be able to chase me down. Unfortunately, he had one more trick up his sleeve. And I mean that literally. From inside his giant drooping sleeves, I saw the glint of metal. Then boom! Fire blasted out and rockets shot from Eros' sleeve. This is some anime shit. I picked up the pace, scrambling for the hole, leaping off the edge. Smack! The hole closed before me, the clouds forming more ground. Eros laughed.
These clouds are mine to control, Crash.
The rockets screamed towards me. I couldn't outrun them. Not now. I yelled at the top of my voice. Stop! The rockets halted a couple meters from me. Still pointed, ready to strike.
Speak quickly, Crash.
I challenge you.
You challenge me. You're an unfit man-child who doesn't use a tissue to wipe his nose. What could you possibly hope to best me at?
Kite flying. If I win, you let me go. If I lose, you can keep me here. Eros laughed again. Making me feel even more humiliated than that time I was reading in front of the class and I couldn't read the word illiterate. But I knew I stood a chance with kite flying. This was my domain. He could have birds and planes and clouds and all that jazz, but kites? Kites were mine. Eros spoke again.
Consider your challenge accepted. though you may regret that after seeing my kite.
Eros raised his hands. The rockets disappeared. Above him, a massive shape grew from nothing, slowly taking form. It stretched, morphed, becoming a dragon. Not an actual dragon, but a massive dragon-shaped kite. At least 5 times bigger than Tabitha. Eros took the kite's bridle in his hands, bringing the dragon under his control. I launched Tabitha, ready to duel. Oh man, shit's like Yu-Gi-Oh, but with kites. In kite flying, the goal is to cut the other person's strings with yours. It's a brutal sport that takes from the loser both their kites and their pride. Needless to say, Tabitha has never lost. Tabitha ducked and weaved around the dragon, learning its movements. The lumbering beast would block my sight, trying to dwarf Tabitha. In these moments, I had to fly by pure instinct, flying by the wind's temperamental mood by the ways my handles were tugged.
You can't win, Crash. My kite has yours outpaced. Merely running my dragon into your pitiful kite will crush it.
It's not how big it is. It's how you use it. I didn't have time to laugh at my accidental joke as Eros' dragon bore down on Tabitha. I smirked. It was too late. Eros thought I had just been desperately dodging his dragon's wild swipes, but my plan was finally being realized. The dragon's line had become entangled by Tabitha. Eros moved his hand, creating an updraft to get his dragon away. What an amateur. That's the worst thing he could do. Tabitha used the updraft too, pulling her line taut and constricting the dragon's line. Eros might have thought that his panda thread couldn't be cut, but he should have known I use only the best line for Tabitha. My own specialized plastic thread, which is strong enough to cut off a finger if you're not careful. Tabitha sliced through the dragon's thread with ease, sending it into a tailspin. Eros' eyes widened as his own creation crashed down towards him. The dragon fell, crushing Eros beneath it. Okay, it didn't crush him, but that would have been way cooler. Instead, it just kind of landed gently on him. Eros, frustrated, pushed the kite off him like when you're trying to get something out of the garage, but it's buried underneath an inflatable raft, so you pick it up and toss it to the side like, ugh, get out of here.
All right, you win. Stupid kite-flying nerd. I didn't even want you up here anyway. I wanted Benjamin Franklin for the kite exhibit, but apparently he has PTSD or something.
Eros opened the hole in the clouds once again.
Go now before I change my mind.
I gathered up Tabitha's line, held her close to my chest, and took a leap of faith down through the clouds, flipping Eros the bird at the last possible moment. Now that's a bird he should keep at his shrine. As I broke through the cloud cover, I let Tabitha fly, gliding gently, drifting back down to solid ground. The next day at the park, I told the kids what happened, but they didn't believe me. Even my supposed best friend Culture didn't believe me. I can understand, though. It's hard to believe you're standing in the presence of greatness, but Tabitha knows the truth, and she's the only one I need. What would I name this if it were a movie? Desolation of Eros. Fuck yeah. I don't like the Hobbit movies, but that's a cool title.
If you enjoy what we do here at CultureCrash, please consider supporting the show via our Patreon, where we have a bunch of awesome rewards, or by checking out our online store. All links are in the description below.